Hello, welcome back to another edition of the I'm Always Right Sports Podcast. I am your host, as always, the mouth of Michigan, Rob Mendyka, and with me, as always, my co-host, the Merc Zone, Mike Merkel.
I'm here.
He's here. We're alive. We're okay. We're safe. We're practicing social distancing outside of this particular show.
Yeah, just drop a 6-foot person in between
Right?
us.
Yeah, exactly. Like we saw, weirdly enough, right, as, the coronavirus thing has kind of put a halt on most sports topics, right? The NBA season's frozen, NHL, baseball. We're going to talk about that in the second part of the episode a little bit. We're going to take a little bit of a different stance on it. But outside of that, and all the other stuff that's going on here in the world today, we do still have some sports stuff to cover. Most importantly, wrestling never stops, right? It's the one thing throughout the whole year. They say there is no off season, and this kind of issue, the pandemic that we're going through at the moment is a perfect representation of that. No fans, it doesn't matter. We're still getting new Raws, kind of. We're still getting new SmackDowns, new NXTs, new AEW shows every single week, right? And most importantly, somehow, some way, we're still getting a WrestleMania in this next weekend, unfortunately. Now, we're going to talk about all the rumors and everything else like that. We don't have any spoilers or anything. We're not going to do that. We are going to predict our card, though, and preview that for you. But real quick, Mike, let's just revisit this because I know we talked about it a little bit in past episodes. But with all of the stuff that's going on now, with the changing of the card, I mean, is it more evident than ever that even though I know they've already filmed it, should they just postpone this thing? Because it's right now, it feels like it's a very patchwork type of card, and you're just going, well, it is what it is.
Yeah. I would love it if they did that.
Yeah.
If they just moved it to June 7th is a rumored date that they want to do it.
At MSG, right?
At MSG, 100% fine with it.
Yeah.
I do think, however, there's like 4 matches that I think are still okay with no crowd. Yeah. I think the rest of the card is going to be rough to get through for the most part. I think there's about 4 or 5 matches on here that crowd or no crowd, I think that you could get through and be like, oh, that was good even without a crowd. Right. And we'll get to those as we do predictions.
And we're going to talk too about how WWE, there's a potential, I don't know if you've heard this or not, about maybe WWE trying to changing up the way they present WrestleMania a little bit too, with like the whole like, I'll just go ahead and do it now, I guess, where they're kind of going to just do like live feeds from people's houses, like, you know what I mean, like around there, which I think is going to look weird and awkward. I don't know.
Well, I've heard because there's some matches that are like Bray Wyatt, if you watched last Friday, spoiler alert, I guess if you haven't, he challenged to a Firefly Funhouse match or whatever that is. Yeah,
exactly.
So that's probably
they're doing a lot of stuff on location.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of different stuff.
The Boneyard match for Taker and AJ, which we'll talk
about.
Exactly, right. Or the faux thing that they build up in a studio somewhere. So it's going to be weird. We're definitely, if nothing else, we are going to talk about this WrestleMania, good or bad, for a long time. On one hand, I can commend them for saying, we need to continue on, right? Because we owe it. We want to do it right. But at the same time, I almost wish they'd be like, you know what? We're going to postpone WrestleMania. I think you had a great idea where you said, we're going to push back WrestleMania a little bit. We're still going to give you an awesome show on April 4th or April 5th or whatever. We're going to give you a show. We advertise that there's going to be a show. There's going to be a show. But man, not this show. You know what I mean? I really feel like, and we're going to go down the card here in a second, the amount of talent that's on this show, the potential of this show was pretty darn high in my opinion. So I feel like they easily could have just said, you know what, guys? And everybody would have understood. It's not like NBA fans are like, how dare they cancel it? They understand it. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's just one of those things now where you just go, all right. And honestly, we're quite lucky that nobody from in the wrestling profession, whether it's AEW or anyone else, has gotten the virus just yet, because, I don't know if that would set off a chain reaction where there's no shows. You know what I mean? So we're really lucky in that regard as well. Unfortunately, other leagues and other people aren't as lucky, but, in that sense, we've been pretty blessed. But let's just go right in now. Let's actually preview and give our predictions for the card as it stands right now. Like I said, guys, we've had so much news come out over the past couple weeks that we don't know who the hell's going to be actually on the show by the end of the day. Yeah. We're going to have, maybe it's all legends just everywhere. I'm not really sure. But let's just go right into it, Mike. Let's, I'm assuming you got the match list pulled up, right? Okay, let's just jump over.
14 of them.
Jesus. All right.
Just so we're aware.
Sure.
So we're going to start with Daniel Bryan challenging Sami Zayn for the Intercontinental title. Who do you have and why?
The only problem I have with these matches is it was made yesterday. You know what I mean? So it's hard. I'd like to say that Daniel Bryan gets the win here, but I don't think he does. Sami Zayn just got the title. I think there's more mileage with him as champion. So I'm going to say Sami retains due to some shenanigans.
Okay, I'm going to say Sami retains straight up.
Yeah. I wish I think it's if they allow them the time, this is a match that's going to be severely hindered by no crowd. Because I don't think people appreciate how good Sami Zayn is as a wrestler. So everybody knows, everyone's like, oh, Daniel Bryan, we get it. But Sami Zayn is very, very good. So the fact that they're getting put in a position to kind of go out there and just have a great match for 10, 15 minutes, I'm going to really enjoy it. It's just going to be hampered by the crowd because I think the crowd would be super hot for this matchup. Yes. All right, let's go next one.
Elias versus King Corbin.
Oh boy. Who cares? Number one, but I'm gonna say Elias wins with a guitar shot somehow. Okay. He gets a guitar in there somehow, just to for whatever reason.
I'm gonna go opposite because
why not?
It can happen. I'm gonna go King Corbin because I think he's gonna win, and it's gonna for some reason go way too long and go to the next pay-per-view at some time, and that's when Elias...
Yeah, Corbin is the king of being able to extend storylines for 8 months. It's pretty impressive, and he loses every time. It's quite impressive.
Next up, we got Aleister Black taking on Bobby Lashley.
Why, you ask? No reason whatsoever. Just to get him on the card. We have no reason whatsoever. Bobby Lashley has been out in South Africa doing promotional work. He's been quarantined just in case. So he hasn't been able to do nothing for this whole build. I'm going to say Aleister Black wins because there's no reason to give Bobby Lashley a win here.
I 100% agree, and I like Aleister Black. So
yeah, I think Black hits Lashley in 3 minutes with the Black Mass, and it's over. When we go over this card, my whole wow, this card had potential is really going out the window.
Well, I'm kind of trying to go.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So we're going to get Street Profits taking on Andrade and Angel Garza for the Raw Tag Team Championship.
Okay, so now this is the first match that can be potentially changed, right? We've heard now that Andrade did not participate, right, in that, or that he is out due to an injury. Not because he's sick, but he's actually hurt, which is extremely unfortunate. Because I like the team of Andrade and Angel Garza. I don't think they were going to win the titles anyway. I think it's a makeshift team. Yeah. But with Zelina Vega, there is the familiarity there, obviously. But because Andrade was suspended and didn't have time for a proper U.S. title, and Mysterio is being quarantined right now for precautionary purposes, that's kind of think they were going there. So I've heard Austin Theory is the replacement, which... If you're Austin Theory, big ups to you because that's a hell of a spot to be put in. I don't care where you're at. If you just lost on NXT not that long ago, now you're getting put on Mania. That's a pretty big deal. Obviously, Street Profits retain, but I think it'll be an entertaining match. Again, another match that I think is going to be hampered by the crowd because the Street Profits rely so heavily, the cup thing, and they rely so heavily on the crowd involvement. I think it's gonna hurt the match, but I think it'll be okay. All good talents.
Yeah, I got the Street Profits in a good technical match, but it is gonna be a little weird with no crowd for that particular match.
I will say this though, Montez Ford is a star in the making. Absolutely.
Next up we got the Miz and Morrison champions defending against the New Day and the Usos in a triple threat ladder match for the SmackDown Tag Team titles. Who you got?
Right, so another match that is potentially hampered. The Miz, we've heard now, he's sick, not with the coronavirus, this is from what I've read, but just in general, I think he's just not feeling the greatest. So he did not participate at WrestleMania to the best of my knowledge. So I don't really know what this match is going to be, quite frankly. If they do if it's like a 2 versus 1 thing, I think the Usos or New Day take the titles. But I think that if it's some sort of weird triple threat singles kind of thing, that are somehow still for the tag titles, I think potentially Morrison can retain just because I think Morrison coming back, they just got the titles, right? I'm loving Miz and Morrison being back together. I think that this feud has more mileage on it with the Usos and New Day. I think it's what people wanted when the Revival went to SmackDown. Is we had all three of these teams going at it, but since the Revival's kind of out the door, we're getting Miz and Morrison. I'm loving the tag division on SmackDown, so I think that if it's still a tag match in the typical sense with the 3 teams, and Morrison's just out there by himself, I think I'm going to say Usos get the win. Mm-hmm. If not, and it's some weird modified thing, I'm going to say Morrison and Miz retain. I know that's a weird backhanded way of answering it, but we don't know what this match is going to be.
I think it's going to be Miz and Morrison no matter what. Here's why. I think they can do an interesting thing where I think if they do a tag versus singles, I think you're going to have a thing where he's going to be kind of like powdered the whole time.
Yeah,
and
good
then
call.
It's going to be like
they knock each other out. Morrison runs up there at the last second, grabs him.
Grabs it.
I would love that. That's great storytelling.
I think that's a way that you can get around that with
for sure.
Having tag teams in there because they're going to take each other out.
And with the ladder match, you allow yourself to nobody really gets pinned either. So I just didn't want to make either team look worse losing to an individual guy. That's only my only reason behind it.
I think in a regular one-on-one setting, like a pinfall
he'd be screwed.
setting, I think you get the Usos do their like splash. Morrison just throws him out and pins him, and it doesn't make anyone look too bad.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
But yeah, so I have Miz and Morrison, no matter what.
Yeah, I honestly hope they do. I hope the sooner this virus gets out of here, and we practice social distancing, and we do the things that the government is telling us to do. Once we get through this period, which we're gonna get through it, guys. Once we get through this, though, that SmackDown Tag Team division, I still think Rude and Ziggler are a good team. You got Heavy Machinery that's like the up and coming. Raw, meh, but SmackDown really putting some heavy emphasis on it, and I'm really enjoying what they're putting out there right now.
Next up, we got Kevin Owens for Seth Rollins.
See, this is tough for me because on one hand, I feel like Seth should get the win here, almost because I think his character, you know what I mean, but it sees it that way. But I could also see Owens. Once again, this is another match that's going to be severely hampered by no crowd because I think Rollins has done a nice job of really getting the crowd to turn against him. Kevin Owens with like the kind of weird Stone Cold-esque vibe. He's got the stunner now. When he hits the stunner, I feel like people would lose their minds, in that big stadium like that. I'm going to say Rollins wins, but not clean.
I also am going to say Rollins wins.
That's a toss-up for me. It's just kind of a match. I honestly wish him and Murphy were still tag champs, and then it was going to be Owens and Joe. I really thought that's where they were going with it. I feel like that match not only elevated the world tag titles, but also could have helped Murphy kind of ascend to, okay, he belongs in that realm with Rollins and Owens and Joe. But since Joe's out and everything else, he kind of broke down a little bit, but that was just me wishing.
Next up, we have a fatal 5-way elimination match for the SmackDown Women's Championship.
Yeah.
Bayley, Lacey Evans, Naomi, Sasha Banks, and Tamina.
Yeah, boy. All right. So
we have.
I hope Bayley retains. Quite frankly, I think she's doing great work as the women's champion. These empty arena promos are rough, but outside of that, up until that point, I think she did a really nice job. I was honestly hoping Paige was coming back. I was hoping that was what the announcement was going to be, but not the case. I don't see Naomi winning it. I don't see Tamina winning it. I mean, why? I guess Sasha, but I'd almost rather have Sasha have the title in her hands, and then similar fashion, Bayley retains, and then we spin it off into that feud for the next 6 months.
I 100% agree. I hope it's Bayley. Yeah. If anyone else has to win, it's Sasha, but I hope it's probably Bayley.
And weirdly, it's not so much that I don't want to give other people a chance necessarily, but in this particular instance, I don't think anybody else is like on such a hot streak that I feel like, oh, let's give the SmackDown Women's title to somebody else. I think Bayley as a heel has done a really nice job being a heel, so I think she deserves to keep it.
All right, so now we're going to hit the bigger matches,
at
least in my opinion, on the show.
Absolutely.
We're going to hit Edge versus Randy Orton.
I'm so excited. Match. We're so excited for this
match. This is, I think, the first match I've mentioned, and I think it can work well without a crowd.
Yes.
And because I think that you can have them taunt and yell at each other, and without the crowd, you can really hear and feel the tension between the two.
I think that's a double-sided coin, though, because I also think with Edge coming back, the whole time I feel like the crowd would be buzzing, up at a fever pitch the entire time. But I agree with you, though, in the way that they built this, where it's extremely personal. It's extremely all right, I'm gonna put you out, this is it kind of thing. Edge has been doing some really good mic work. Orton's been really doing the sleaze ball, but not understanding why everyone hates him thing. It's really been really enjoyable. I think this has potential to be match of the night by far, especially if Edge is even remotely what he was when he retired. I'm gonna say Edge wins here. I think it's gonna be a great match, but I think Edge needs to win here, honestly.
I'm probably the most conflicted on this one. I think Edge wins, but I wouldn't be shocked if Orton wins because I think you could push it off then to another show. Yeah. But I'm going to have Edge win.
I think Edge wins, but I think they go with the Taker Triple H finish the first time, where it was like Taker won, but Triple H walked out.
Yeah.
You know what kind of feel with it. You know what I mean? We're like, Triple H lost, but he's like, I kicked your ass the entire time. Whereas in this match, I feel like Edge, because he hadn't been back, what's he going to look like for a long period of time, blah, 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 blah. He wins with a surprise spear, but he's just obliterated, by the end of it.
So next up, we got The Undertaker versus AJ Styles in a Boneyard match.
Whatever that is.
So we don't really know the rules or how it's going to be set up. I'm assuming it's some kind of buried alive casket type
thing
match.
I don't really
But
know.
I don't know what
I just hope somebody picks up like a headstone that's made of like foam or something and hits somebody with it, and it just bounces off and be like, oh my gosh! Michael Cole makes a big deal out of it. I'm going to say Taker wins here. It just doesn't make a lot of sense for AJ to win, quite frankly. In this setting, if this was a regular match, I'd feel like AJ had more of an edge to take it here. I know a lot of people online are saying that AJ should win this match, but at the same time I go, but as long as you put up a great performance against The Undertaker, I don't feel like it hurts you in the long run. So, and I don't know what their plans are for AJ long term. So I think Taker wins just because of the weirdness of the situation.
I'm also going to go Taker. I feel like this one, if it was a normal arena and Taker was still undefeated, maybe you have like that big match feel for this. Yeah. But since like he's already lost twice now, and this is kind of like a weird off-branded kind of match, I think Taker wins.
Yeah. I feel like they're just trying to get every dream match possible out of Taker at the moment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They got to do what they can with this.
Yeah, for sure.
So now we're in the top 5. I think these are 5 biggest matches.
God, this is going to be a good thing they're breaking it up into 2 days. Like, oh boy.
So we got John Cena versus The Fiend, Bray Wyatt in a supposedly going to be Firefly Funhouse match.
Okay, cool. So I'm going to say The Fiend wins.
Now, I've heard an interesting thing where they're going to do like all of Bray Wyatt's characters in one match.
That'd be kind of neat.
So they're going to start off with like
where he disappears and comes
WrestleMania
back.
30 like attire kind of thing, and then he's going to go through that. Then he's going to come back as like Firefly Bray Wyatt, and then he's going to end it and beat him with the Fiend. I heard that's like kind of a thing that
they could potentially do that. The only problem I have with those kind of things, I'm like, can they, like, because Bray Wyatt can just wrestle, like, you know what I mean? Like, he's a good wrestler. Like, like why not just let him go and have a match instead of it always being... I get in this particular instance why they're doing it the way they're doing it, but I feel like him and Cena could tear the house down. I really do. Yeah. I think Bray gets the win. There's no reason for Cena to win this match whatsoever. 100%. But I think it'll be entertaining, but I also think it's going to be very weird.
I feel like it's going to... I'm going to get flashbacks to Orton and Bray Wyatt from that weird house thing that they did.
I remember that.
In, like 2017.
Right, where it was for the title, but it wasn't for the title kind of thing.
Yeah, no one knew, but it was like in the house, and you had to find him in the house. Yeah. You know what I'm talking about?
It was weird. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
I think it's going to be something like that. Yeah. So we got Goldberg as champion facing Roman Reigns for the Universal title. Okay, so how are we going to main event the first night?
So now here's the thing though. I don't know now because Reigns is out of Mania.
Yes.
Right. So we're here. That's Braun Strowman.
Yes.
Is the fill-in, I guess. So with that being said, first off, yawn. I would have rather than put anybody else in this match. Yeah. Like put Jeff Hardy in. Put anybody. I would have rather than put Corbin in, honestly, just because I'm not okay with Braun Strowman becoming Universal Champion. Let me put it that way. His Intercontinental run didn't do anything. So I hope, and I can't. This really blew up in their face because what you could have done is you could have just left the damn title. If hindsight being 2020, I would have rather seen Bray Wyatt and Cena be for the title, and Cena beat Bray, and Cena wins his umpteenth championship and just get it over with, rather than what we have now. Because Goldberg against name a guy outside of Reigns, it's going to be a train wreck. It was going to be a train wreck regardless, but this is going to be rough.
Yeah.
Who do you go with there? You really think Braun gets the title here?
No, this is the one time where I think Goldberg should win almost. Unfortunately.
Yes, because you need to wait for Reigns to beat him.
Yeah, just make him a tank until whoever beats him. There's only one name that could come in and I'd be so okay with it, and it's Matt Riddle. This would be a perfect time for Matt Riddle to just go, you need an opponent? Here we go. And then he wins, and now he's moved up. But he's like NXT Tag Champ now and shit, so like
they got a whole feud going on with those big...
But I think that would be... Even if he lost or whatever, I think that would be a great replacement. But they're going to probably go with Braun Strowman, and it'll be a It's going
to go 5 minutes. And unfortunately, I want to say Goldberg retains because you can't... Number one, Braun's a good guy right now. Number one. Number two... it's just bad, dude. All the way around, it's bad. At least with Jeff, I feel like you could have did something where like Jeff's like, he's coming back, he's taking the shot with it. Okay, he loses, whatever. It goes on, does his shtick, but this really sucks without Reigns being on the card here. Like if any match could have been modified, this is the one match I feel like outside of Drew and Brock you couldn't touch, and it's like. Crap, you know what I mean? So the fact that Reigns, from what we heard, is not on the card, and yet they still haven't announced it officially yet. Oh boy. Yeah. So interesting.
Our top 3 here, we got Becky Lynch versus Shayna Baszler for the Raw Women's title.
Shayna wins. I don't think it's any question here. I think she needs to win. Becky's been champ for a year.
Like almost an entire a year.
Yeah, a year. And
I think WrestleMania last year was April 5th.
Yeah, so she's been champ for about a year. She's done everything she needs to do. She's beat Asuka. She's beat Charlotte. She's beat this person. She's beat whoever it is. She beat them all. Let's go. Need a new dog up top there.
Yeah, and Shayna's perfect to be that dog.
Yeah, exactly.
We got Rhea Ripley as champion defending against Charlotte Flair for the NXT Women's Championship.
Yeah, this one's... In your smart money is you go with Rhea Ripley in this match, right? Ripley, the up and comer, she's been hot. She beat Shayna for the title, right? She's had all the momentum go. I don't know where she actually came from, quite frankly. I didn't see that her being the person to rise up out of this. But good for her. I think it's going to be a pretty good match for the most part. It's going to be a little slower than I think people are going to expect. Ripley's not a high flyer kind of person, but. I think I'm going to say Ripley wins just because she should win, in all honesty. Charlotte doesn't need this win. She didn't need to win the Rumble, quite frankly.
No, she didn't.
But now that we're here, it does not help Charlotte to win the NXT Women's title. It does not help her any. It doesn't add anything to the legacy. It doesn't do anything. And you can't have Charlotte on NXT. If she wins it, you really gonna take Charlotte off Raw and SmackDown?
See, I think rating wise, I think that's the only reason why this is a match.
Yeah.
Is because I think that if Charlotte wins, I think they're trying to get that ratings pop over AEW and maybe having Charlotte. I
don't think she moves the needle enough. And I think what it does too, I think it stymies the growth of the other women on NXT.
She's just gonna dominate everything.
Yeah, right. Well, this because you're having that ladder match. In a couple weeks from now, right? And so say Candice LeRae wins, right? I'd rather Candice LeRae be the super underdog against Rhea Ripley, who's been unstoppable. She beat Shayna, she beat Charlotte, oh my gosh, kind of thing. But instead, you're gonna have Charlotte there, and it's like, okay, but great. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think there's anyone on the main roster that could top the ratings enough right now to get it over.
I think if Rollins went back. I think so. Maybe? Yeah, I think so. I think if you traded the Undisputed Era for Rollins and his clique of guys or something like that, and he came and just dominated kind of thing. I think that could possibly do it, but even then, right now it's just you're fighting an uphill battle because it's like NXT's fighting Raw.
Yeah.
Is really what it is. It's not NXT fighting AEW's version of NXT, and that's where people get the disparity, but that's another conversation for another day. But long story short, I think Ripley should get the win here.
Yes, I 100% agree on that. And finally, we have the champion Brock Lesnar coming in with the WWE Championship, fighting the 2020 Royal Rumble winner, Drew McIntyre.
Drew gets the win. I want it to go about 12 minutes. I don't want it to go super long. Yeah.
I'll be okay with half a world champion.
I want it to be balls to the wall the entire match, right? I want to stare down and then ring ding 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 and we're boom.
I was gonna say what I want is a better version of Goldberg Lesnar.
Yes,
33.
yes, exactly.
It's I want 6 minutes and just kill each other.
Right. Basically. I feel like Brock, for all the crap we give Brock knows what to do, when to do it, you know what I mean, and when the payoff is where it's going to be at. And this match, that this is the match that I think is most affected by the crowd because
100%.
Because this is Drew's moment, and this match had the makings to be a true, like, not classic in the sense of technical, but classic in the sense of we are truly anointing a new guy. Yeah. Like we haven't seen that since 31, since Rollins won the title, really, because Daniel Bryan got hurt right after, so it was hard for us to be like, Bryan's champion for 6 months. It didn't work. Yeah. You know what I mean? It didn't happen. But in this case, everyone's been on the McIntyre train now. I've been on the train since he debuted back on Raw. I'm like, let's go, wrap it up. You know what I mean? He's the guy. And so now that he's finally getting the opportunity, this is a time for me where I go, all right, we're getting another guy to the main event scene. Not upper card. No. Main event, world champion, not flash in the pan, Jinder Mahal type crap. No, we're doing the full Rollins, Reigns, Kevin Owens type push to the moon. Let's have him be champion, and he's going to put on, I feel like, phenomenal matches for months and years to come. I really do.
I 100%.
You know what I mean? I think this could be a crowning moment for Lesnar just as much for Brock or for Drew, because I feel like Lesnar could give him a great physical type match that makes Drew look like $1 million.
We talked about a couple weeks ago how we were talking about like what championship you would want to win. Yeah. And I think if McIntyre wins the WWE Championship and goes on a run, I think for me it changes to the WWE title just like that. Yeah. It's already high up there, like a title.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But like because of Okada's reign in New Japan and all that stuff, like it's just so like that title is so prestigious that if you win it, it's a thing. Yeah. I think McIntyre can be the guy to really push this title over the moon and be like, he beats Rollins, Reigns, The Fiend, Cena. You're like, man, this guy's just...
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? And you're allowing... And the best top guys are guys that can go from face to heel like that. Like, Drew wouldn't have to do much to go right to being... So it's like, all right, he goes through, say he beats an AJ, and then he beats Rollins. Like, okay, now we're getting a little bit of a thing here, and now maybe, you know, the roster gets shaken up again. Now he's facing... Like, can you imagine him and Reigns next year at Mania? Talk about... I know they had it last year, but 35, but for the world title, main event, him Reigns, give him 25 minutes. I mean, that's money right there. Or him and Rollins, or whoever, like... Wow, you know what I mean? Real quick here, before we kind of segue out into the second half of the show here and go to break... You have McIntyre 2 winning, right?
I do have McIntyre.
Okay, for sure. Real quick, I just want to hit on the Raw after, because they've already taped it technically, right? Yeah. Do you think anything happens? Because that's the biggest Raw of the year, right? Yes. Do you think with everything that's going to possibly happen at NXT, right? Like, you know, we're going to have the ladder match. You know, we're going to have Dream versus Cole. I don't think Cole drops it to the Dream, by the way. I don't think that happens. I don't think so either. But do you see anybody like the Undisputed Era coming up? I say coming up, but whatever.
It's like
switching brands, whatever.
Shake up or whatever.
Here's my rationale behind it, right? Just a little bit is I feel like that would do something to kind of give people a little bit like, all right, they're here, like something else to kind of jolt everybody. Okay, WrestleMania was what it was, but all right, we got some big stuff coming in for SummerSlam.
I think now, no. Yeah, no. Before, yes.
Yeah, okay.
I did think that with that takeover, I think either at TakeOver Mania, he was going to drop it and they were going to move a whole bunch of guys around. Now, because you don't really know, like NXT the next like 3 weeks are having all their championship matches, but Mania's next week. So I don't think that if Cole's NXT champion, I don't think he'll come up as NXT champion.
No? Okay.
So I think if you do see guys come up, I do think you could see guys like
Ciampa or Gargano. I think one of them does. I think one of them because they're doing that blow off.
I think it's Gargano because I think Ciampa's going to win the title and roll for a little bit. Yeah. Because Gargano's done everything. Like Ciampa really hasn't had.
I know, and that's my word with the Undisputed Era too. It's like I feel like Strong and I think Fish and O'Reilly just kind of floating until Cole drops it.
Yeah, they're gonna float until Ciampa beats Cole eventually, and then they'll come up. I think guys like the Velveteen Dream will come up, or some tag team maybe will come. I think there's not gonna be that like, oh my god, like when Balor came in, everyone's like, Balor's here. Oh my god, like you're not gonna get that moment, but I think you'll get a few guys, especially Ciampa or Cole, or Ciampa and Gargano, one of the two will come up.
Yeah, just something interesting to kind of think about, because I'm just like, okay, that is the that's like the one part of Mania where you just go, okay, like we're ready, we're rolling kind of thing. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be, it is what it is. But, hopefully Mania, we're going to see. It's going to be historic one way or the other. Hopefully we come on the show next week and be like, hey, Mania's not till June.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
You know what I mean? So I don't think it's going to happen. But, maybe that means that because Mania doesn't hit as hard as it would, maybe we get some better stuff.
I would love for this whole show to be like 4 weeks of Raw.
Yeah, no kidding, right? Like they're doing with NXT kind of, where it's like, you know what, we're going to give you this stuff we promised, and then Mania is going to be bananas. Like, just wait kind of thing. Obviously, it's not going to happen. Maybe that means SummerSlam is like, holy crap, SummerSlam was awesome this year kind of thing. Let's be positive about it. Hopefully we see some good moments, if nothing else, right? Hopefully we're going to see some new champions crowned for sure. We're going to see, guys hopefully being made and really skyrocketed to the next level. So I'm hoping that that's what's going to happen. So, Mania's next weekend, guys. Whether we like it or not, as of right now, buckle up, ready to go.
We're watching something next
right?
weekend.
All right, after the break, we're going to do another Merc Zone mock draft, my favorite part of the show by far. And then we're going to talk some coronavirus stuff, but not in the way you think. We're going to be talking all of that after the break. Stick around. Hey guys, it's the Mouth of Michigan, Rob Mendyka, and I know that this whole coronavirus thing, it's been a complete and utter disaster, right? I know you're stuck at home. I know you have family members and friends that may be afflicted or may be affected by this, but I want to let you guys know to stay strong, right? Follow the government's rules, the CDC and all that good stuff. Make sure you're practicing social distancing. Don't go out of your house a lot, unless it's for food or for the bare essentials. Really take this seriously. But while you're doing that, I don't think of a better way to spend some quality time, right? I know sports are limited. I know that, there's nothing new coming out right now. All the movies are kind of shut down. What better way to bring yourself a little bit of joy in this world during this time than by listening to the I'm Always Right Sports podcast? Now, I know there's not a lot of new sports. I know that life right now seems pretty boring and monotonous, but there is always something you can look forward to. There's always something, and that is that we will be here for you every single week, Mondays at 7 a.m. Your favorite podcast will be here every single week, regardless of whatever's happening out in the real world. Take a moment, take a break, put your mind on pause, and just sit back, relax, agree, disagree. That's what we're here for. Make sure you listen to us every single Monday, 7 a.m. Make sure to subscribe. Thank you for all your support and stay safe. Now here's this part of this week's episode. And welcome back to part 2 of this week's episode 70 of the I'm Always Right Sports podcast. Thank you for being with us. Like we are here with you every single Monday, 7 a.m. on all your favorite podcast streaming sites. All right, Mike, let's just jump right into part 2. As of this writing, right, the NFL has kind of made it known that they are not pushing back the draft, right? Mm-hmm. It's still going to go on either by Zoom meeting, teleconference, in a Marriott a hotel conference room like they used to do in the 70s.
I'm in.
We're going to just see the results in a newspaper. We're going to go buy a newspaper. Whatever the case may be.
I'm in.
But it's going to be a little bit old school, clearly. But, it's going to be weird, right? This is, we just talked about it in the first part of the show with WrestleMania, but it's one of those things to where this is going to be memorable. One way, a lot of shots of people at home, like all the prospects with their families and everything, clearly not practicing social distancing as they have a massive party for the draft, but, excuse me. But it's coming, and it's right around the corner, right? And free agency is kind of simmered down a little bit. I know there's some other moves that, the people are hoping the Lions make. Yours truly included, but they signed a couple linebackers yesterday or 2 days ago, so they have like all of the linebackers now. We've kind of seen where everything's kind of shaken out for the most part, right? Most of the big names are out, are probably signed, with the exception of like Clowney, who's probably going back to Seattle. You got like the Logan Ryans, the Everson Griffins, so a couple of those guys, but not everybody who was a big name, the Byron Joneses, the Tom Brady's, they're gone.
Yeah.
So the draft is going to be what it is. We don't really know how that's going to break down yet. We'll probably review that after the draft happens, along with our thoughts on the pick. Better get it right. That's all I got to say. But all right, let's just jump right into your mock draft. Right. Where is this from and all that good stuff?
We're using the Walter football one.
Okay.
Because it was updated on 3/27,
okay,
which I think was 2 days ago.
Yep, a couple days ago, yep.
If I can look right. Okay, yep. We know what day
we know what's going on. Yeah, we know what's going on. Yeah. All the days don't run to each other because we're all at home all the time, every day.
Not doing anything different. All right, so, and there could be possible trades.
Possible trades. Okay. Yes, Walter. I like Walter football. They're pretty on it. You know, they update it constantly, so it's always there's always
it's always like
you know,
the day after something happens, or we'll update it to whatever. So
for sure,
it's usually relatively the same.
Yeah,
but
and honestly, most of these mock drafts are. However, the possibility, the Lions being in such a unique position at this point in the draft, right, where they're really the first tension spot where there could be some moving really happening.
Yeah.
It's an interesting time, especially for Detroit Lions fans. There's a lot of different possibilities. So it's for sure. It's you know, there's a lot of ways for them to screw it up. So it's fun to explore that. All right, let's jump right into it though. First pick, Cincinnati Bengals. They trade out of that pick. No, I'm just kidding.
That would be iconic.
They get all of the first round picks from everybody, and somebody takes Joe Burrow. No, so they take Joe Burrow, number 1.
Yes.
Okay, number 2, Washington stays at 2, and they take Chase Young.
Yes.
I thought you were gonna be like, no, they take a tackle. No. All right, number 3, Lions are there. I'm gonna say the Lions trade out of that pick, and the Chargers move up.
You are right.
Go Rob. All right, so then the Chargers. Does it say what compensation the Lions get?
No, I kind of was looking through a little bit. It looks like they flipped picks and got their second round this year. And I'm assuming either a late round or some kind of next round. It doesn't say.
They would have to. I would assume they would get more than. Yeah.
So they have. When I went through their second round, they do have 2 second round picks.
Okay. Do they have another third round pick by chance?
How many?
Well, they already have 2 right now. They have the Philadelphia pick. They have theirs. So they'll need. Yeah. So they'll need. It'll be right around their first pick in the third round. So upper part of the third.
No.
No. Okay. So they must be getting something next year then.
Yeah, they're probably getting a next year.
They'll probably get a first or a second next year. Yeah. Okay. So not knowing the terms of the trade, right? You know, either way, you're picking up a second round, say just this year. So that means you have the first 2 2s and 2 3s.
Yes.
Now you have a whole bunch of picks within the first 85 for sure, which is a big deal. All right, so 3 then. Let's say the Chargers go. They take Tua.
They do.
They take Tua.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So Miami then looking at their roster going, we did a lot of work in free agency. The defense is finally kind of starting to come into place a little bit, so we're gonna hold back, take whatever quarterback falls to us using the Mike Merkel method, where we like both of them, so we'll just take one, and we'll save our picks and get 2 other playmakers hopefully later in the round. So not a bad strategy by Miami. They put themselves in the position to really dictate whatever they want to do with what they did in free agency, along with the amount of picks that they have. All right, so number 4, the Giants. Now, I read something here. I want to get your take on this.
Okay.
On Pride of Detroit, shout out to them. Great website, great information on all your Lions news. I highly recommend them, prideofdetroit.com. But they did like a what is your worst case scenario for the draft, okay? What's your worst case scenario? And you're laughing, so this probably already happened. So basically, their thought was Lions trade down to 6,
okay,
right? Or 5. I think they don't. I don't think they specify. Either way. But then the Giants trade out of 4, and somebody hops them and drafts Okudah. Chase Young's already off the board, and somebody hops them to get, and the Giants drop down, and somebody takes Okudah, and then you're stuck, and they take Derek Brown. That's like, in their mind, is the worst case scenario, is that where you trade down, you get the extra pick, or picks, whatever, but you don't get the guy that you really wanted, thinking, okay, we still can get this guy.
I don't think that's worst case. Well, okay, that probably is worst case scenario. But if that's your worst case scenario, I don't think that's an awful scenario either. Because I think Derek Brown.
Well, I think worst case is they stay at 3 and take Derek Brown. That's where I throw my TV out the window.
No, exactly. That's what I mean. Like, if you're gonna drop down, that means you drop down. So that means hypothetically you got another first or a second. And I think there's pretty good corners out there. Now, obviously, it's like Jeff Okudah, ... the next guy. Like, there's like a big range between him and the next guy for the most part. But I do think that if you're able to take, if you just name off,
Trayvon Diggs,
or I have to look, but there's a couple. The LSU corner there is also there. I think if you got one of them in a high second round, I don't think that's the end of the world either. And then you get Derek Brown, who's a great defensive tackle, and you need help on the D line anyway. So I don't think that's worst case scenario. I do think that's a bad scenario. I think what you said, worst case is taking Derek Brown at 3. I think that's like you don't get anything for it, and you just take a defensive lineman. I think that's.
I'd be pretty pissed. Not gonna lie.
I would be okay with. I'd be like, that sucks, but I'm not like
I'd be like, he better be the second coming of Warren Sapp. That's how I'd look at it.
Well, yeah, that's
like, honestly, like, you better be the
But at that point, would you just take Isaiah Simmons then?
See, that's the thing. With what they did at linebacker now, with all the linebackers that they have, I think they kind of take linebacker off the equation unless they drop down to like 9 or something. You know what I mean? I don't think they're in the Isaiah. I think if you rank those 3 prospects, I think, and I agree with Dave Burkett because he did a Facebook Live on this, he thinks it's Okudah, he thinks it's Derek Brown, and then it's Simmons.
Now with what they've done, probably.
Yeah, you know what I mean? I really do. All right, so 4 then, you're laughing, so do the Giants, the Lions... the Giants stay home? Okay,
yeah,
so Giants stay there, they're going to take a tackle, I'm going to say Wirfs.
Yes.
All right, cool.
Wirfs.
Yeah, why not?
Because they want a more solid... It says, despite Becton's freaky 40 time, they think that Wirfs is better.
Yeah. And honestly, with a tackle, all right, great, he runs a fast 40, but if he can't block, I don't care how fast you are.
Yeah.
So,
whatever. So now we're at number 5.
So 5, Miami's there. They're going to take Justin Herbert.
They will.
They take Justin Herbert. Okay.
Good for them.
Yeah, good for them.
I love Justin Herbert, so it's great.
He had a good combine. He had a really nice combine. I think he showed a lot of people that he can throw the ball.
Yeah,
like legit, like he's very good. Like I still think he's number 3 in the class, but I think if he kind of gets a little bit of the shaft a little bit because I think that like if he came out in the year like say Geno Smith came out where there was not a quarterback taken until Geno or something like that where like he would have been like, wow, Justin Herbert is the top 5, and he still is technically top, but you know what I mean, where it's like lock it in, circle it, dot it, he's the guy kind of thing. So. Just because of the strength, I think, of this quarterback class is where he gets dinged down a little bit. Like I'm glad he's not going next year because next year he'd be third again. But maybe last year even, maybe it would have been a different story. So all right, so 5 is Miami. They take Herbert. 6, your Detroit Lions are on the clock, and they take Jeff Okudah.
They do.
Oh, thank God. Okay, I'm pretty much on the Okudah train at this point.
Yeah.
Like I'm ready for it. They need it. Wrap it up, get it done, get the guy. And honestly, I'm okay with it. You know why? Because we're so much about the image, right? And I think you made a great point about this when we first started doing this, where it was like, if Chase Young is there and they take him, you can't bitch, right? You can't complain because you know that they did what they could and they got the best player. Everyone's saying it. Everybody and their mom is saying that Chase Young is the best player in the draft, right? So that's why you didn't trade down. In this case, Chase Young's gone. They take a corner, a spot they have not outside of Slay, and they had Dre Bly for a minute too. But like we have not had historically good corners, so they take the best corner in the draft that everybody's saying is Patrick Peterson 2.0, and they take a guy. They get an extra pick for it. I don't think any Lions fan could complain about this pick if they're thinking about it logically. So there we go. So Okudah's your pick. I'm totally okay with it.
Yep.
The Buckeyes, man, they just churn out talent like. It's freaking craziness, dude. It's absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. But all right.
I wish.
Yeah, no kidding.
Pull that out.
Jeez, no kidding. All right, let's continue on, though. Okay, so we've got...
Carolina's at 7.
Carolina's at 7. Do they take Isaiah Simmons, then?
They don't.
They take Derek Brown?
Yeah, they do.
Okay. Wow, so Simmons is going to fall, then, to, like, the Raiders?
No, he falls to Jacksonville at 9.
Oh, okay.
Because they just love their linebackers.
Okay. Yeah, sounds about right.
Arizona takes Jedrick Wills, offensive tackle.
Yeah, makes sense now. They're basically out of the wide receiver round now completely with DeAndre Hopkins coming over. So,
Jerry Jeudy goes to the Vegas Raiders at 12. And San Francisco, because of that trade with DeForest Buckner, gets CeeDee Lamb at 13.
That fits the Emmanuel Sanders spot quite well. Where does Ruggs go? Does Ruggs go sooner than that?
He goes to Denver at 15.
At 15. All right. Once again, another big target, right, for Drew Lock to get. They signed Graham Glasgow and Sam Martin, weirdly enough, and Jeff Driscoll. They got all the Lions.
Tampa Bay, interesting, 14. They pick DeAndre Swift, the running back out of Georgia.
Wow.
Probably to help out.
They don't like Ronald Jones, huh?
Yeah.
Well, maybe I'm higher on him than others are, but
let's look at his rest of this round.
It wouldn't shock me though. I think Tampa Bay's pushing all their chips to the table, and they go, "Who can help us now? Like, what is? There's no development needed. Who's the guy now? You know what I mean? Yeah. So that doesn't shock me even a little bit that they're going that route, whatsoever.
And then some bigger names, I guess. We can go. Jonathan Taylor goes 18 to Miami.
Wow, yeah, running backs really making a run up into the middle. Yeah. Before we didn't have any in the first round. Now we've got 2 within the top 20. All right.
And then Grant Delpit goes to Baltimore at 28.
That's a great pick. It's a great pick by Baltimore, making that defense even better. Another playmaker. They need a safety because they let go Tony Jefferson to pair with Earl Thomas. Whew, boy.
Okay, so we're going to enter the second round here. The pick right before the Lions, Indianapolis Colts take corner Trevon Diggs.
I was about to say, I was literally just about to ask. I was like, is Diggs still there? I was like, man, maybe they want to go back-to-back corner. Yeah. They just take 2 best corners in the draft.
So Lions at 35. Lions, you don't know who they pick. Where do you think they go?
Oh boy! All right. So
their next pick, by the way, will be at 37. So they got 35. The Giants pick, and then they pick again.
Right, which is awesome, right? So in this case, I feel like they have a little bit of wiggle room here. Honestly, with the way this is set up right now, I want them to go interior offensive line. Okay. It's kind of where I want them to go with one of these next 2 picks. So I'm going to say Cesar Ruiz, the guy from Michigan, is the guy.
They don't. They actually stick on the defensive side. Okay. They take Zach Bond, defense end out of Wisconsin.
Okay, now that's a pick that we've seen a couple times now to them. I don't know a ton about him. I maybe I should look up his draft report. But fine. You know what I mean? Once again, you have some flexibility here. I'd rather honestly go get a guy, and then then maybe draft somebody a little bit later. But you got 2 third-round picks too, so I don't think the edge rusher outside of Espinoza and Young are like. Say that again?
Are you talking about the guy from Penn State?
Yeah. No, Iowa.
AJ.
Yeah. Like, outside of those 2 guys, I feel like there's a big drop-off after that a little bit in pass rusher, so I don't necessarily know if I'm in love with that pick that high. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But, all right, let's keep going.
Number 36, Giants take Antoine Winfield Jr., safety out of Minnesota.
I still think still think, even though they just signed Deron Harmon, or traded for, he's only on a 1 year, he's got 1 year left, so that's not necessarily out of the realm either.
And then the Lions pick at 37.
Oof. All right, so I think they need to go wide receiver. I think so. I'm going to say Chase Claypool, wide receiver on Notre Dame. If I got this, by the way, talking about calling my shot.
They don't. Damn. But I think you might like. They take J.K. Dobbins, running back out of Ohio State.
Yes. Our camera died, so we're not going to have a live YouTube this week. But I'm holding my hands up high because I would be uber thrilled. I'd be pissed about. Honestly, if I'm being honest about myself, and you know me, I'd be super pissed about the DN pick. But then I'd be like on cloud 9 about the Dobbins pick. Mm-hmm. So I'd be very up and down with it. But I'm mad about it. I like that pick.
Yeah. And then trying to find some bigger names here.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, here's one. Yep. Jordan Love goes 45 to Tampa.
Wow. So they're
basically like, they get Brady.
Like, you better win it in 2 years, Brady, because we got your backup right here. Yeah. He's coming in. That's honestly, though, I don't know if they do that. I think it's a smart move. I don't know if they do. Just because they're like, all right, we got a 2-year window here to get this done. But also, I understand it from the perspective, okay, what if Brady gets hurt?
Yeah.
And we've got all this resources, and now we don't have anybody who can run the ship? Mm-hmm. You know? It's a little scary, for sure.
Yeah. And then, so now we enter the third round. Mm-hmm. Where do you think the Lions go?
They got 2 picks, right? They got their own pick, and then they've got Philadelphia's pick from the Slay trade. So I'm gonna say interior offensive line. They need a guard.
Yeah,
they need a guard. So I know that they could technically sign Kenny Wiggins, but they just signed Odeabushi. He's a depth guy. You need a guard. So I'm gonna say they take a guard. I don't have one in front of me necessarily, but I'm gonna say they go guard or offensive lineman.
They're taking defensive tackle Marlon Davidson. He's from Auburn, and they said that if the number 3 pick is on Derek Brown, this definitely changes. Right. But without that pick, they would take this defensive.
Yeah, I don't know if I agree with that. I think that once again, defensive tackle is such a spot where it's not the most important part of this defense. It's really not. And once again, you don't have a guard right now. Like, they don't have one. So, not one of any relative capability, I should say. So, and I'm including Joe Dahl as one of the starters. So, that's sad enough to say. You're going to need to be able to do something here. But all right, cool. So, then later on in the third.
So, later on in the third at 85, they pick, who do you think?
I think at some point you got to go offense here. So, I mean, I know they took Dobbins, but I still think you need another wide receiver, quite frankly. So, I'm going to say wide receiver lineman. I'm staying on I'm hedging my bets.
They take offensive guard Ben Bredesen.
Hey, there we go. See, now that I'd be okay with. Yep. Now, that's a value pick, right? Comes from Michigan. You know Michigan's O-line plays always well, right? Mm-hmm. They churn out good offensive linemen for whatever reason. I like that pick. right? There's some other. I'm always like in the second of the other round picks, but overall, not terrible at all. What do you think of that draft? Would you be okay with it?
I mean, yeah, I'd live with it.
Yeah,
I don't think there's anything that's like too bad, but I think it's good.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those things to where we're putting so much emphasis on this because this is such an important draft for them. They need to have a Saints like Alvin Kamara type draft. You know what I mean? Where like they had like 3 guys they drafted all within the first 2 rounds, and they're all getting picked up options because they're all key members of the team. It needs to be that kind of draft. You need to hit on the first pick. You need to hit on round 2. You need to hit round 3. You need to hit on the second pick of round 3. If you don't even trade out, you need to hit on your first 3 or 4 picks by far, right? Mm-hmm. And they need to be guys that come in, contribute, play meaningful snaps. There's no, walking around it. You need to have these guys in there ready to go week 1 against whoever the hell they're playing, because if not, you're probably getting fired. Mm-hmm. So that's just the reality of the situation. So great job, Mike. Great find. Before we end the show here, I want to talk to you real quick. So obviously, right, we're going through this kind of sports freeze, the coronavirus thing. Real quick here, what sport do you think is most affected by this, right? And I'm not talking like the amount of people infected or anything like that. We're not that desensitized to this, right? It's a clear problem, but what I am talking about is the impact on the season, on potential like of the teams that were kind of in contention from a money making perspective. What sport do you think is most affected by this? Whether it's the NBA, the NFL, they're going to be affected by it later because I think stuff's going to get pushed back. But NBA is a total halt. MLB, total halt. NHL, total halt. Yeah. There's nothing. Even professional wrestling, to a certain extent, is being affected. What league or sport do you think is being most affected by this right now?
I'm going to say the NBA.
Yeah.
And I think it ranks NBA, NHL, MLB.
Yeah.
Because I think MLB, technically hasn't started.
Right, they were in spring training.
So they're in spring training. Right. So, you can just start the season, have a shorter season, and be fine. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Right. I think the NBA only because the top tier teams are new together, and there's a lot of older guys that are in the top tier teams. So you don't know how long LeBron's gonna be good for now.
Right.
You don't know how long Paul George and Kawhi Leonard are going to be together and be able to be that team together.
Right.
Outside of Giannis, you don't know. There's a lot of uncertainty after the season of how Chris Paul, he's having an amazing year in OKC. Right. But how long after this can he have? This might be his last run.
Right.
So try to make a run or something.
Yeah.
So I think that's affecting a lot of those guys getting out of rhythm. Mm-hmm. And then if they cancel the season now at that point, they're that was my shot.
Right.
I'm 35 years old. That was my shot to win it. Now I don't have that shot anymore.
Right.
So I would say the NBA. I think the NHL hits it about the same as the NBA.
Yeah, because they're rolling down the
end. They're rolling
down.
Yep. They're about to start the playoffs.
Yep.
I just don't think that they had a lot of younger teams in the mix.
Yeah, for sure. And I think too, there's a little bit more. I think the NHL is a little more balanced as far as the NHL is weird. Every year it's who the hell saw the Blues win the Stanley Cup? No, it didn't happen. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things to where I think you're right. I think the NBA is most affected because their top tier stars are not necessarily 26 anymore.
Yeah.
LeBron I think has already come out and said this sucks. Mm-hmm. He's this is killing me because this is not good for my body. I'm trying to train it's the off season again, but he's if we have to pick it back up again, it's gonna be a minute kind of thing, So it's hard to carry that amount of weight around, moving as fast as he is. Do you think that the Lakers are the number one franchise that is affected most by this? They're son of a, why couldn't this have happened 3 years from now when LeBron was already either done, the window was gone, or we already got the title, so it doesn't matter anymore?
I think it affects them the most because I don't think they have another year left.
Yeah.
I think next year the Clippers can easily overtake them as the best team.
Yeah.
I think this is the year where you could have fought it.
Yeah.
But I will say, though, that depending on when they start the season, because if they just go, okay, we're going to play into playoffs, it might actually help the Lakers.
Yeah, because you cut out 15, 20 games.
Yeah, you cut out 20 games at the end of the year, and now you're starting your season against Memphis, where the Clippers haven't even played many games together as a whole, and they're playing Dallas in the first round.
Right, that's not easy for sure.
Out. So I think that depending on how it cuts out, you could be I'm number 1 seed and I'm playing this team that I can sweep in 4 games.
Right.
Maybe it helps them in that way, but in the age and the getting in a rhythm kind of thing, it definitely hurts the Lakers.
Yeah,
most.
This is a weird time, and if you're a LeBron fan like my boy Mike is, you're really bumming hard because like they were definitely on the run for sure. Like Western Conference Finals guaranteed.
Basically.
Like it was like, okay, here we go. Them Clips, hopefully. Who's
Clips, and then the winner of that versus the Bucks.
Exactly. And like, all right, let's do it up kind of thing. For sure. Absolutely. Just something to think about, right? Obviously. All right, that's going to be it for this week's show. I know we didn't go over a lot of new stuff, guys, but that's because there ain't a lot of new stuff happening, unfortunately. So next week we're gonna talk about some WrestleMania some more. Maybe we finally see a final card. We're gonna talk. Obviously we're gonna do another mock draft corner. We're gonna do some rankings. Maybe we'll rank our WrestleMania favorites. That was something we were thinking about doing this week. We might be doing some rankings, some other good stuff. Maybe not some new stuff, but maybe you get to do a little bit deeper dive into who me and Mike are as sports individuals and what our favorites and all that good stuff is. Maybe we'll dive into that a little bit while we're on a little bit of a lull here. But on behalf of the Missing Whaleman, for the Merc Zone, I'm the Mouth of Michigan. Please stay home, stay safe, practice social distancing. We will get through this. I promise you. We are with you in spirit. I promise. That's going to be it for this week's episode of the I'm Always Right Sports Podcast. We will be here live every single Monday, 7 a.m. Like always, we appreciate your support. If you are not subscribed to the show yet, please do that. You got all the time in the world right now to do so. If you are affected at all by this pandemic, we are with you. Our prayers are with you. Stay safe. Practice social distancing once again, and we will see you guys, as always, next time.